And as you go up the number line, primes occur less frequently,
and twin primes are rarer still. But the twin prime conjecture is that there are infinitely many twin primes. You never run out. As of right now, no one has proven this conjecture true or false.
Is life. Specifically, this is the game of life, created in 1970 by mathematician John Conway. Sadly, he passed away in 2020 from COVID-19. Conway's game of life is played on an infinite grid of square cells, each of which is either live or dead. And there are only two rules. 1, any dead cell with exactly 3 neighbors comes to life. And 2, any living cell with less than 2 or more than 3 neighbors dies. Once you've set up the initial arrangement of cells, the 2 rules are applied to create the next generation, and then the one after that, and the one after that, and so on. It's totally automatic. Conway called it a 0-player game. But even though the rules are simple, the game itself can generate a wide variety of behavior. Some patterns are stable. Once they arise, they never change. Others oscillate back and forth in a loop. A few can travel across the grid forever, like this glider here. Many patterns just fizzle out. But a few keep growing forever. They keep generating new cells. Now, you would think that given the simple rules of the game, you could just look at any pattern and determine what will happen to it. Will it eventually reach a steady state? Or will it keep growing without limit? But it turns out this question is impossible to answer. The ultimate fate of a pattern in Conway's game of life is undecidable, meaning there is no possible algorithm that is guaranteed to answer the question in a finite amount of time. You could always just try running the pattern and see what happens. I mean, the rules of the game are a kind of algorithm after all, but that's not guaranteed to give you an answer either, because even if you run it for 1 million generations, you won't be able to say whether it'll last forever or just 2 million generations, or 1 billion, or a Googleplex. Is there something special about the game of life that makes it undecidable? Nope. There are actually a huge number of systems that are undecidable, like Wang tiles, quantum physics, airline ticketing systems, and even Magic the Gathering.
Trump's border policies has prompted a flood of Central American and Mexican undocumented migrants at the U.S. border, including thousands of unescorted children. According to a new report, more than 3,900 children were separated from their families under Trump's zero-tolerance policy, and to this day, more than 2,000 kids still have not been reunited. The report adds that to this day, the government still does not know the whereabouts of nearly 400 children who were separated under Trump's policy. Still, though, the Biden administration insists that the border is not facing a crisis. Reporting in New York, Trinity Chavez, RT.
Let me address that. Yes, it's true. It's true that today's politicians in Latin America are in many cases, if not most, corrupt. But here's what else you need to know. We put them there. We, the United States of America, chose them as the sons of wealthy business people and then brought them here to the United States and trained them at a place that's called the School of the Americas that literally manufactures dictators. I am not kidding. Look it up. School of the Americas manufactures dictators. In fact, there is no better example of what I am talking about, of how the United States takes out and chooses Latin American leaders, than the very place where Vice President Harris visited yesterday. No better place. Look at this. Getting so worked up, I'm sweating. She did not discuss this while she was there. And neither did the lackey reporters chosen to take part in her photo ops there yesterday. But that country where she was yesterday, Guatemala, once voted in a president who tried to enact land reforms to help democratize his country. But our State Department, our CIA, wouldn't have no part of that. So we sent in U.S. security forces to overthrow his government. We had that president removed, and then we trained the military there in Guatemala to take out all of his supporters. The people who democratically elected this dude named Jacobo Arbenz. Today it's known in the history books as the Guatemalan Genocide. It's also known, interestingly enough, as the Maya Genocide. It's also known as the Silent Holocaust. Here are some of the pictures where more than 150,000 people were massacred. Massacred. Our foreign policy made that happen. We put the people in power we now call corrupt. And we've done the same thing or close to it in Panama, Colombia, El Salvador, Peru, the Dominican Republic, Brazil, Bolivia, and we do it to this day as a matter of public policy. So, does it seem a little disingenuous to send a U.S. politician looking for a photo op to Latin America to tell them what they are doing wrong without acknowledging that our State Department has been calling the shots in Latin America for almost a century now? I know you're not going to hear this anywhere else but here, and that's a shame. This is a story CNN should be telling you, and so should the New York Times, because it's the truth. Here's the advice that a former Latin American president, removed by the United States, by the way, would give today if he were asked to give advice to her, to Kamala Harris, if she would listen. Here it is.
The idea of the Americans being a lighthouse for the world and not letting anyone else compete economically is wrong. Americans must know that we don't want a sheriff or a mentor. We want a partner. We want brothers and sisters.
Will she listen? Would she heed that kind of advice about the way that maybe we should treat Latin America? What do you think?